All right, guys, and next he has the former UFC bantamweight champion and the current #1 contender. He looks to bounce back at one of this year's biggest cards and take Rafael Sansa UFC 200. TJ Dillashaw, welcome back to the program. How's it going?
Doing good. Thanks for having me back on again.
Well, it's a pleasure having you on the program, TJ. Now, everybody knows your home is in Colorado when it comes to training, but we heard that you recently took a little bit of a field trip in a lot of ways and had a little bit of fun training in Canada just as a one-off. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you end up going up to TriStar for a little bit and doing a bit of training?
I had some business to do up here. I had some stuff to take care of with Everlast and doing a little bit of photo shoot, but took advantage of being up in Montreal and came by TriStar and, got to do a practice taught by George, which was pretty cool, and then training with all the guys up here. It's been an amazing experience to to see how the famous gym at TriStar does things. We learned a lot up here.
Awesome. I mean, we saw the photo up on Twitter, and it was yourself, Faraz Sahabi, and then you had George sitting there with, or standing there with jeans in a t-shirt. I'm just wondering, did you actually train with George, or what was his role there?
Yeah, George actually taught practice. He was on his way out. He was heading somewhere, so he got to change. We were hanging out and talking after practice, so it was just a quick little photo afterwards. But yeah, he actually taught the practice. So showing some secrets of his trade.
Ooh, some secrets. We like it. We like it. Now, obviously, because he was in jeans and t-shirt, there was no sparring, or did George pull off the, hey, I'm in the jeans and t-shirt look, but this is MMA, anything happens, so he just jumped in the ring anyway?
No, he was just dressed up going somewhere. He was, like I said, he was the one that taught practice and showed some free technique and went over some things. So
free technique, eh? Okay. I'm just curious, how soon do you think before we see him back in the octagon where we're talking about George?
I have no idea. It all depends on how he feels. I think he's always training. The guy's always in shape. He's always looking like a brick house. He's always super built. But I think he's just kind of getting back after it and seeing how good he feels with how hard of training he is, and see if he could step in there. Who knows? I don't think he's planning on anything. I think he's just doing like a trial run. It is the way. I didn't really ask him, but that's just the way I was taking it.
I know that whenever I go and I meet MMA fighters and other people in the industry, I always sort of have a look if they're still looking the same as they once were. What did you think about some of the techniques he showed you? Is he still the GSP that everybody knew and loved, or did he look a little bit different?
Oh, he looks the same, man. He looks like he's in really good shape, as always. Looks on top of his game still. I mean, it doesn't look like he's been out of the gym much. Even though he's been retired, he looks like he's been in the gym nonstop. I'm sure the guy worked out as much as I do still.
Yeah, he's always in tremendous shape. I'm just wondering, TJ, was there any point where he pulled you aside and said something along the lines of, hey TJ, I gotta tell you, I'm coming back to UFC 200. Don't tell anybody except Submission Radio. Anything like that? Was there a conversation loosely like that?
No, unfortunately, no dirty news for you guys. Nothing that we can break out on you guys' podcast, unfortunately. But if there was, you'd be the first to let know, obviously.
Of course.
Well, of course. You just heard the message from him, TJ. You can't not put it on Submission Radio first. And just quickly, lastly, George, do you think there's a possibility he might come down and train at Colorado? You guys have a great facility down there. Obviously, Muscle Farm are doing great things there. Any chance, did they mention anything about possibly coming down and training with you over in Colorado?
George has actually trained there before it was even, as big as they now. He's trained a lot with my wrestling coach, Leister Bowling. He's a great wrestling coach, and anytime GFT was on his way through town, even if he had a layover in Denver, he would stop and go work out with my wrestling coach. So he's definitely not a stranger to the area, and my coach, Leister, has actually come to Montreal and worked out with them. They sent up a couple guys. Brendan Thatch came up here and worked out with Rory McDonald. No, worked out with GSP, actually, I'm sorry, for one of his fights when he was getting ready. So definitely not a stranger of cross-training, and our camps definitely get along very well.
Okay, well, the dots are starting to connect. So now, the last time we spoke to you, TJ, you were very adamant that you deserved the title rematch over Uriah. He ended up getting the fight, and now you're facing Rafael Assunção. I'm just wondering, how do you feel about getting Rafael, and also, why did you take that fight?
Oh, it was a fight I wanted, other than obviously the rematch. I felt Rafael's, he's on a good win streak. He hasn't fought in a while, and we had a controversial split decision 3 years ago. And so it's a fight that I'd like to prove that I was the better fighter when we fought, and still am. And it gets me. That's the fight that will get me right back into a title shot. You know, I mean, I won't have to wait around. I mean, I'm not wasting time. I'm ready to have what I think is rightfully still mine, and so I want to get there as fast as possible. I think Rafael is the way to do it.
I'm just wondering, was there an option to sit out and wait for the winner of Cruz and Faber, and did you even consider that option?
No, I didn't even ask or consider it. You know, when I wasn't fighting Cruz, it was just kind of, all right, what's next? You know, I'm not going to sit around and wait for the guy because who knows what happens. You know, the only way I get paid is by fighting. I enjoy the fight, so I have that fighter's mentality that I want to be inside the octagon. So there was no point in me waiting around. You know, I mean, I'll get back what's mine. I'm just gonna have to run through Rafael first.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't sound bummed out at all to be, not getting that title shot. Are you pretty happy also that not only did you get, a chance to avenge your loss to him, but also you ended up on the very stacked UFC 200 card?
Oh, trust me, I was very, very bummed. I was bummed for a long time. It's something you got to get over it all. I mean, I can't sit there and dwell on the past and what didn't happen and what's fair and what's not fair. I mean, life's not fair. You gotta roll with the punches, and mine was that I didn't get the rematch. So I had to get my mind right and get ready for Rafael.
Well, we know you have a great camp, and obviously Rebecca, your wife, a great person as well. What was the biggest factor you think that helped you sort of get over the fact that you didn't get that rematch straight away and sort of move on from it so you could focus on this next fight?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything you just mentioned. My team, my coaches, Dwayne, Rebecca, just all kind of like, this is the path that I was meant to take. This was what was supposed to happen. So just roll with it. I mean, just learn to enjoy life and not hold on to everything. Let go of the past a little bit and just enjoy the ride. I mean, I get to step in front of millions of people and fight and kind of show off a little bit, and so just learn to enjoy it.
Right, and your fights are an addition to an already stacked card. I'm wondering, do you know whereabouts your fight falls? Will you be on the main card or the prelims?
Shoot, man, I mean, I'm not really too worried about it. I mean, what I really wanted, I guess my first choice would be to fight a 5-round fight. I feel like that's in my favor. I like those big hyped up fights. I like those championship rounds. I feel like they've done well for me. I mean, that would be my first choice. But as soon as they offered me 200, I said it was a no-brainer. I mean, that's an epic card to be a part of. It'll be one that goes down in history. I mean, it's a stacked card, so I don't really care. I mean, I could be prelims, I could be main card. I mean, whatever's going to hype up the card the most. If they need me to be the main event for a prelim, if they need me to be on Fight Pass, it's whatever. I don't really care. I mean, it's just a fight.
Yeah, and with that card, I mean, there's definitely no hard feelings wherever you do end up because there's so many great fights. Now, your last fight was the main event, and you had to do a lot of media with Dominic Cruz. Are you kind of relieved that with such a stacked card, you won't have that sort of pressure and distractions again? You can just fly under the radar and sort of focus on training more.
That is definitely a nice thing. I'm not going to have to worry about doing any media appearances or flying across the country to do stuff. I just get to train. I don't mind doing all the media, but it's going to be a nice change. I mean, my last 4 fights have been very highly media oriented, so it's going to be nice that it's just going to be worried about getting better.
You've always been great as far as media appearances and things like that go. There were times in the lead up to your last fight, especially when you were Dom and were placed in the same room, where you didn't seem like you really loved those media duties, and I mean, understandably so. I'm wondering if you can relate and what you thought of the recent situation with Conor McGregor not wanting to do as much media for UFC 200.
Oh shoot, there's no way I'm as busy as Conor McGregor, and it gets taxing after a while. I mean, even on my schedule. So I can only imagine what they have him doing. I mean, he's a moneymaker. He's got to do a lot more than even I do, and it was a lot for me. So I can only imagine what he's got to do. And then because I really don't feel that's who Conor McGregor is behind the scenes. I've gotten to hang out with him at the Ultimate Fighter, and off camera he's a little bit easier going. Doesn't have to be so witty. Doesn't have to worry about being a fucking man all the time and worry about outwitting everyone. I'm sure that probably takes a toll of having to be someone that you're not naturally him. That's why I feel like it's easier for me as well to do those media things because I just act like myself.
No, it's certainly one of those situations where fans are a little bit disappointed the fight's not happening on UFC 200. After watching what transpired between Conor and the UFC, do you think the way him and his team handled it was the right way? Do you think there would have been a better way to handle it? Do you think he should have just accepted the media duties?
Shoot, I don't even. I mean, so what? He didn't go on the card because he didn't want to go to media day, right?
Yeah. Well, the goss in the street is that basically he didn't want to do. He agreed to do a reduced media schedule where he was going to do a press conference, but what the media know, we don't know exactly what he said, but it seemed like he didn't want to do the world tours, and because he had done so much media previously, he did tough, and he also had to do a lot of stuff for the RDA fight and the Jose Aldo fights. He felt like it really affected his training and expressed the fact that he felt like he only just needed to do a reduced media schedule because people were already really excited for the fight just from the tweeting and the stuff that he did as well, and he just needed to focus on the fight. He was in Europe, in Iceland, doing his training camp, and thought it was vital for him to stay there and focus on his fight.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it, too. The guy lost, so that's a lot of weighing on him as well. Not only all the stuff he's having to do, but he lost. He's been thinking he's invincible. He's been talking this smack and backing it up and predicting his fights and being unstoppable, and then he's getting proven that he's not all that, not all that he's been talking about. And I'm sure that's probably taxing as well. I'm sure he's having to go back and reevaluate his training and what he needs to do to stay on top. I mean, that's got to be pretty nerve-wracking, I imagine, for him, especially a confident guy, to go into a fight you just lost and having to do a bunch of stuff that's going to take away from your training, So, yeah, I mean, I'd say it's a smart choice to worry about getting better rather than talking.
Looking ahead to UFC 200, you're number 1, Rafael's number 5, and currently on an 8-fight win streak. This feels a lot like a title eliminator. Has the UFC or anyone confirmed this to you that, if you do beat a Sunsao, you're next in line?
Oh, it better be. I mean, I feel like I should already got that title shot. So that's the way I'm looking at it. I haven't ever confirmed it because that really doesn't really mean anything anyways. I mean, they can decide to do whatever they want when they want. I mean, that's the great thing for the UFC is that, they're their own promotion. But I sure hope so. I feel like I've already done enough to get my title shot, so I'll be Rafael and then be right back in there. I don't see who else they'd match him up with.
Well, in a couple of weeks, Thomas Almeida's fighting Cody Garbrandt and Aljamain Sterling's taking on Brian Caraway on the same night. Do you have any concerns that one of those 4 guys may get the title shot before you?
No, I don't at all.
Just while on the topic of Cody Garbrandt, we got to ask you, he was actually on the show not long ago, and he didn't really take too kindly to you saying that he originally wanted to be part of Team Elevation. He said that when he was interested, he didn't realize it was a brand new team. I'm just wondering if you saw that, if you knew he felt so strongly about it.
Well, the reason why I know that he wanted to be part of Team Elevation is because I have long text messages with him and Lisa, my wrestling coach, about when I think Lisa met him in Canada at a UFC fight, and and at that point I had already made up my mind that I was going to go out there. I hadn't moved out there yet, but I had the conversation about it, and then I was going out there, and I already told Cody about it and told some of the guys about it, and so Cody's actually the one that approached Lisa, my wrestling coach, the main coach at a Elevation Fight Team, and told him he was interested in coming to Elevation Fight Team. And then there's this big long text message about Cody wanting to not have to worry about where he's going to train, and it'd be nice to have a place like Muscle Farm. He's just kind of making himself look as best as possible with media, and he's very easily influenced by Uriah and what he thinks. And so, he can say what he wants, but if he wants me to put out the proof, I can put it out there. If he wants to talk, he was the one talking about if he wanted to come to the Muscle Farm. It wasn't like we approached him at all. Lisa didn't go to him. Lisa wasn't trying to recruit anybody. In the text message, it will clearly show that Cody Garbrandt came to Lisa Bowling and asked him about coming to Elevation Fight Team. But then all of a sudden, when it's a big stink in the media and a big stink inside of Uriah's head, Cody instantly switches his mind. He's a young kid. He's easily influenced. I like the guy. I've always got along with him. It's just stupid that he feels like he has to stick up for himself, instead of rather just doing what he wants.
Interesting.
But, on that note, Alpha Male has done a lot of big changes. So, I'm hoping it stays the way it is because they brought in they finally got the coach I feel like should have been the coach for a long time. You know, Justin Buchholz is a great head coach, and I've believed in that guy for a long time. He just hasn't gotten the opportunity to be the head coach, and he's always been interested in being a fighter rather than a coach. And now I think he's finally taking on the role of being what he always was. You know, I mean, he's a very good, influential coach, and so I'm interested to see how that's all going to go down. But sorry, I'm going on. But on the end of Cody, he's just spitting bullshit lies to you guys, really.
Interesting. He also told us that he was going to approach you at the Arnold Expo, but chose not to. And the next time he sees you, the two of you will have words. I'm just wondering, TJ, have you seen him since, or have the two of you spoken at all?
No, I haven't. I don't know what would we have words about. I don't understand that. I think I saw that. I've been off of social media quite a bit lately, but I think I saw something about him saying that. I don't really understand what he was talking about, that we have words. So I don't know if I said something to insult him or what.
I think basically he took issue with the fact that you mentioned that he wanted to be a part of Team Elevation. I think his side of the story was basically that he didn't know it was going to be a brand new team. And I guess he didn't really like that part.
Oh, well, he's just lying. I mean, I got proof. I mean, I really do. I mean, I really could. If he really wanted to put this out there as strong as he's going to, I'll just release some text messages that he's been sending to Lisa Bowling about how he wanted to come down from them. So it is what it is. I mean, it's whatever. You can't really worry about it too much, you know?
We are, of course. And we know we don't have too... Sorry, go on.
Oh, nothing. I was just saying he's young and trying to make a name for himself, you know?
We know we don't have too much time with you, TJ, so obviously we'll go back to your fight. Looking at Rafael, you know, he hasn't fought since October 2014 when he defeated Brian Caraway. Since then, you've had 5 fights, and obviously you won the belt. Do you think his time away from the cage will hurt him when the two of you fight?
I don't think it'll benefit him. I don't know. I mean, I'm expecting the best Rafael style coming into the cage, you know? I mean, Dominic Cruz had a long layoff, and he looked good coming back. You know, I still feel like I won that fight, and I came after him, but he looked good, and it wasn't like he missed a step, you know? So I gotta expect the best Rafael style possible, but I don't think it's in his favor to miss that much cage time, you know.
Well, he got the split.
Benefit, if that answers your question.
Well, he got the split decision win over you last time you fought. What's the difference about this fight? What's going to be different about it? And why do you see yourself getting your hand raised this time around?
I think everyone's kind of seen how much I've grown as a fighter since that fight. You know? I feel like I was a completely different fighter back then, and I've grown leaps and bounds under Dwayne Ludwig and what he's done with me, how he transformed me into being a complete martial artist. You know, back then I was a little more of a wrestler, just looking for big shots, you know, throwing good combos, and I understand angles, and I've grown a lot, you know. I mean, I've only been doing this sport now for 6 years, you know, and I feel like I've learned a lot, and since I fought him 3 years ago, so that was half of my career ago.
Of course. And assuming all goes well at UFC 200 and you emerge victorious and get the next title shot, who do you think you'll be facing as the champion, Cruz or Uriah Faber?
I see Cruz winning that fight, you know, especially after been seeing his last performance against me and seeing Faber's last performances. I feel like, you know, I just feel that Cruz is going to win a decision. He's going to do what he always does. He's going to point fight. He's going to let it around, and I don't think Uriah is athletic enough to get him, you know. I mean, Uriah caught some big shots on him the last time they met, you know, and dropped him a couple times. But I think that was more of Cruz just being off balance. But I think Cruz comes out with a decision.
It will be a very, very interesting fight. And speaking of Uriah, he made some comments about yourself and Cruz, saying how you both look different since USADA came in, and also that he would smoke you if the two of you ever fought. What do you think of those comments, and do they give you any more motivation to fight him?
You know, Uriah's actually handled this whole entire thing so childishly. It's crazy how much I have to talk about the guy and how much he thinks he needs to talk about me. It's kind of mind-blowing, actually, because I would have never, ever seen this out of Uriah since the time I've known him. It's very childish. And, you know, at first with him talking all this crap, it was like, all right, so I see he doesn't want to be my friend anymore. Whatever. I don't need to be friends with Uriah. You know what I mean? He's always been for himself anyways. But now he wants to create an enemy. You know, for him to say things like that about me and Cruz that aren't true whatsoever, and to bash our names is pretty ridiculous. And I feel like Cruz made him look like a fool because of it. You know, I mean, he for the last couple of years, he hasn't been able to make himself relevant with his fights. The only way he's been able to do it is by talking crap about me. And so I think that's just what he's doing, is to try to talk crap about me and Cruz, because we're obviously better than he is, and we have what he'll never have.
All right, TJ. Well, look, we really appreciate your time. And before we let you go and get your prediction, we have to change the subject and ask you about something very serious. Who is this man known as TJ Dillashaw? We hear he's been hunting. He looks a little bit like Rambo. Tell us, who is this person?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've grown up my entire life hunting. It's been a way of life for me. My dad was an avid hunter growing up. I grew up in a small town of Angels Camp, California, where, the meat I ate was the meat I either raised or killed, and I've just continued to live that way since I've grown up, and hunting is a hobby of mine, and especially archery hunting, I like it a lot. And Chad Mendez has started a guide service. It's a celebrity guide service where, hunters can choose what hunt they want to be guided in and choose what celebrity they want to hunt with. And Chad's got anywhere from professional fighters like myself and Paige Van Zandt. He's got TV stars. He's got baseball players, football players, guys that like to hunt are joining his pro staff. And, yeah, it's a pretty cool little gig. Chad puts together the hunt, and these guys get to come and hang out with us for a week or so and really learn who we are. When you're in a hunting camp, you really get to spend a lot more time with people and understand who they are. And it's a pretty cool little thing that Chad started up, and I'm hoping it continues to be successful because it's been a cool little gig. And I get to continue to hunt, so I love it.
I could just imagine Paige Van Zandt rocking up there and just starting to kill everything in sight and just impressing everybody around. Just quickly on that, TJ, I mean, look, a lot of great moments when you go hunting. As we finish this up, tell us a highlight from your trip. What stands out to you in your mind? Share us a little story. What's the best highlight that you've had so far on these hunting trips?
Oh man, I think the biggest highlight. I mean, it's not going to be something that's real interesting to people who don't understand hunting, but the biggest highlight in hunting, especially in bow hunting and the preparation that goes into it. I kind of feel like that hunting has a lot to do with fighting. There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of game planning going on. Bow hunting, there's a lot of hard work. Like, you always have to be downwind from the animals because they can smell you. You got to make sure you're wearing the camo so they can't see you. You have to sneak within 40, 50, 60 yards to get a shot. You try sneaking into a deer within 40 yards and having that adrenaline going and your heart bumping, and then having to make a good shot. You know what I mean? It's a challenging thing to do, and I think that's the best part is when you, even if you don't come out successful, it's just all the preparation that goes into it and the competition that goes behind bow hunting.
I love it. We've never been hunting, but the way you make it sounds 10 times more exciting than the Revenant. So we're gonna have to go out and do some hunting.
Oh, man, it's primal, man. It's super primal, man. It gets you. For one, you're outside. You're one with nature. You're doing something that's been done ever since mankind, and you get to eat what you're getting with your own bare hands. You know what I mean? This animal got to live a free, awesome life compared to something that's been pinned up and caged and pumped in full of hormones and treated the wrong way. So the gratification you get from just doing the whole process and how hard it is, I think it's an amazing thing. And if more people actually did it, there would be a lot less, talking down on hunting, and they'd understand it a lot more, especially with knowing what the work that goes in behind it.
I'm not surprised you're not doing much on social media, and you said you've gone off it. You're living the good life. You're out there in the wilderness and you're doing some hunting. Before we let you go, TJ, the official prediction: how are you beating Rafael Sansa at UFC 200?
Oh, I'm knocking him out. I'm going to take advantage of some holes in his game, and I can even actually submit the guy. I mean, I almost did it the first time we fought. You know what I mean? So it's so cliche of me, but I'm going to finish him. So if it's going to be a knockout or a submission, that's definitely how I believe I'm going to do it. I'm going to wear him out, and I'm going to catch him. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm the more technical fighter. He's got some big holes in his game on his feet, and then I definitely feel like I'm the better scrambling grappler as well. So we'll have to show off maybe some of my wrestling this next fight.
Well, there you guys go. The latest addition to the already stacked UFC 200 card. TJ Dillashaw takes on Rafael Sansa on July 9th, July 10th in Australia. Don't forget to follow him on Twitter and Instagram at TJ Dillashaw. There you'll be able to see pictures of the famous TJ Dillashaw. TJ, thanks so much for taking the time and chatting with us. We always appreciate it. Good luck in the fights. Have a great training session. And we will see you over in Vegas for UFC 200. So we look forward to catching up in person.
Awesome, man. I guess the last thing I want to say is that, I got to thank Muscle Farm and Elevation Fight Team for everything they've done for me and giving me the opportunity to train as as great as I possibly can. And right now, Elevation Fight Team and Muscle Farm are having tryouts for the lighter weight guys. Anybody that's interested in continuing their professional fighting career, you send in, who you are, and if you want to come out and come do a tryout, we're accepting anyone from 45 to 25s and trying to get that room stacked up in there. You know what I mean? We got a lot of good guys already, but we got double the mat space recently, so we're looking to grow.
Hey,
I just kind of wanted to put that out there. Go and look up Elevation Fight Team on Facebook and send in a message. Send us who you are, send us your record, your resume, and see if you can come and try out.